Welcome to Hotline TV, everybody. I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Quinn McCord. We all know that self-funding candidates can scare away well-qualified but broke opponents. Just ask Rob Simmons. But sometimes millions of dollars can be dumped into a race without making one lick of difference in the final tally. Today we'll look at 4 rich campaigns that may go somewhere, or not.
Or not. And that is what brings us to our trusty little Velcro board. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Quinn and I, thank you for joining us, by the way,
Yes.
are each going to rank 4 self-funded millionaire candidates around the country this year, statewide candidates, in order of who is least likely to win the office that they're seeking to the most likely. Quinn McCord, let's begin the game.
All right, I'll start with John Chachas
Chachas.
in the Nevada Senate race.
Okay.
He has millions of dollars. It's a relatively small, cheap state, but he's done nothing so far. And, oh my God, what are you doing?
Here, so I can put mine
Oh,
over.
sorry. All right. But it's already become a 3-way race between Sharon Angle, Sue Loudon,
right.
Danny Tarkanian.
All great, all interesting stuff. I was going to put Chachas also last, but because you did, just to be contrarian, I'm going to put Bill Binnie, who's running, of course, for New Hampshire Senate Republican, trying to be sort of the Tea Party, the conservative alternative to Kelly Ayotte, but I think you're looking at her ultimately winning that nomination. Although that primary is not for several months, so we could see some movement there.
You could, and I'll go with Binnie for number 3, I guess.
Okay. Well, that was
for the same reasons. I agree with you.
Okay, great.
Because
I agree with you for the same reasons for Chachas. But now let's move into the top tier of our self-funded candidates. Quinn, these are candidates that people need to be paying attention to. They are well-funded. They actually could win the race. Self-funded candidates don't have a great track record, but these two could break the mold. Who are they?
All right, well, Linda McMahon in Connecticut. She obviously has a much better chance this week than she did a week ago.
Okay.
Obviously, with Blumenthal's problems, Rob Simmons has now dropped out.
That's true.
So the path is more clear.
Right.
I mean, she's still a bit of an underdog, but could happen.
Yeah, I'm going to put Linda McMahon. I agree is up there, but I'm going to put her a little bit higher. I'm actually going to put Meg Whitman at number 2. Again, still higher than John Chachas or Bill Binnie, but someone who's dropping in the polls. There's a Survey USA poll out today with her having a double-digit lead over Steve Poizner, but you have to, I think, look at the polling over the past couple of weeks that shows that she's in a free fall right now and unlikely, even at this point, to get through the nomination. And even if she does, she still has Jerry Brown to contend with.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out, understand why we have Velcro on here if we're using tape, anyways.
Whatever.
But I'm gonna put Whitman. I think she still has a good chance. She doesn't have this huge lead in the primary, but I think she's gonna be nominated. I still think I give her the edge.
Okay.
And Jerry Brown is a candidate that could mess up towards the end if people want a fresh face,
especially in a year of change and incumbents,
never know.
Anti-establishment. I agree. And for all the reasons you said about McMahon, I'm going to say for her being number 1. Look, I think Dick Blumenthal was a very strong candidate, could be again, but at this point he looks much weaker, I think, than he did 2 weeks ago. So that's why I'm giving her the top billing.
All right, let's move on to bandwagon. John, whose bandwagon are you jumping onto?
Well, Quinn, this is one of our favorite games that we play every week, the on and off bandwagon.
Yes.
I have to say, look, and this is a big one for me. I had certainly been on the Alexi Giannoulias bandwagon. I think a lot of people were at the beginning of his campaign. Friend of Barack Obama, won a relatively competitive Democratic primary. Looked like sort of a sure bet. Then along came Mark Kirk, and things keep getting worse for him. I think we've seen over the past couple of days, you have a congressman, an influential Chicago Congressman Jesse Jackson, sounding more and more like he's going to support Mark Kirk, which could really hurt Giannoulias' turnout in the Chicago area, which he needs, especially among African Americans. And look, the DSCC is going to be under a lot of pressure from the Obama White House to invest in Illinois, obviously, and as well as in Delaware. But if they have more competitive races to deal with, especially with Dino Rossi getting into the Washington Senate race, I think Illinois, especially if Giannoulias doesn't pick up his poll numbers, really could fall by the wayside. So I'm jumping off his bandwagon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you whose bandwagon I'm jumping on.
Yes.
And maybe I'm late to the game on this, but Nikki Haley in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yes, I knew she was running, and she had, a lot of sort of simmering support around the country. But I didn't realize till recently she's polling so well. She's running against 2 statewide officials, a congressman.
Sure.
And she seems at this point almost certain to make runoff. Now, maybe my timing is bad. Maybe, once this information, the alleged affair gets out, If it proves to be correct, maybe it will sink her. So maybe I'm picking the exact worst time to jump on her bandwagon. But yeah.
That has, I mean, marital infidelity has really hurt gubernatorial candidates in South Carolina governor's races before. David Beasley, I think, had to drop out or something like that because of an affair or something
Really?
along those lines. I am jumping on, I'll tell you whose bandwagon I'm jumping on. New York gubernatorial candidate Andrew Cuomo, Democrat, got in finally over the weekend. Not a surprise to anybody who's been following this race, but I think he's in a unique position. He's the consummate insider who somehow is able to, because of the way he's positioned himself this year, run as an outsider, attacking Albany, attacking the corruption that's gone on there, and really running, at least at the beginning of this race, or trying to position himself as sort of a bipartisan critic. He's criticizing both parties, the the corruption under Democratic rule in Albany, and also the Republicans. So that puts him, I think, in a good position. Plus, he's ahead by 25 points in the polls.
Of course. Well, I'm jumping off the Martin O'Malley bandwagon for no political reason, only because he just signed a no phone ban for cars. After a couple years ago, he signed these speed cameras into law.
Right.
I mean, Governor O'Malley, let me drive in my home state, please. I'm off your bandwagon for now. Just let me drive. So
we've all got our pet issues, Quinn.
Yes.
And that's one of yours.
Sorry. All right. Well, now let's look at our favorite TV ad of the week.
Blanche Lincoln or Bill Halter? Blanche Lincoln voted to pass health care reform because it was right for Arkansas. She strongly supported the president's economic recovery plan, and she's fought to get rid of tax breaks for companies that send American jobs overseas. And Bill Halter? Instead of creating jobs in Arkansas, his company outsourced jobs to India. Bill Halter put profits before Arkansas.
You know, that's a big switch for Blanche Lincoln. I think, you know, look, she's really positioning herself. She's, you know, she's still in the Democratic primary, but she had obviously run as the moderate alternative in that primary, and now with an earlier ad that she ran where she, you know, said she didn't answer to her party, she answered to Arkansas, and she called herself out as sort of the, you know, the person who was bringing the health care law, the health care bill that they were negotiating in the Senate to the middle.
No public option.
No public option. She supported that. Now she's talking about supporting health care. She's got footage of Barack Obama. She said she supported the economic stimulus bill. It's interesting she's doing that now because it brings into question how she will be positioned after the primary if she wins it for November.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that earlier on she was more concerned about a general election. Obviously, at this point, she knows she's in the fight of her life in the runoff. And, you know, I don't know the history behind this, but most incumbents forced into runoffs don't win. I mean, we don't have much of a record for statewide runoffs like this for incumbents, but she's in trouble.
Looks like she's definitely in trouble, but so are we, Quinn, because we are out of time. In fact, we've gone a little bit over time. We apologize for that, but
until next time, we'll see you on Hotline TV.